Today on the Topping Show, Matt Walsh goes viral for a statement on Secret Service agents and saying that women should not be Secret Service agents because they continue to fight each other. New York Times Square will got a picture of an African American anime every night of May. USDA employees busted for stealing $66 million in food stamps. A judge downgrades charges and goes viral, saying that judges should look like those that are being judged. The last car, the 5-speed manual transmission, comes to an end for that option. And a kitchen sink is being recalled due to lead contamination. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you, everyone, for taking time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT, value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. Guys say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase with Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more and see me shooting a flamethrower. And lastly, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have the last car, the stick shift with 5 speeds, coming to an end, unfortunately. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Motor1.com. And here you can see that cute little Nissan. Well, maybe cute in a way that only a mother would love. Now, they say, quote, the last 5-speed manual is dead. The cheapest car in America just got a little more expensive. Well, at least the car is red, so that shows a good color for it. And this is credited to Anthony over at, again, Motor1.com. And he says, quote, manual transmissions aren't as popular as they used to be, and now buyers will have one fewer option going forward. Nissan has allegedly ended production of the manually equipped Versa, killing off the cheapest car you can buy in America today, and the last 5-speed on the market. Which is unfortunate because every car by default should have 3 pedals, also known as manual transmission, infinitely more fun to drive, and forces the kiddos and folks to pay attention to the road. Hard to text when you gotta use, your other hand for the stick shift, but I partially digress. They say an unnamed source with, quote, knowledge of the matter revealed to Automotive News that the Japanese automaker has halted making the Versa with the 5-speed manual in, geez Louise, there's like a 3% chance I get this right, Aguascalientes, Mexico factory. Motor One reached out to the Nissan spokesperson for comment about the alleged production stoppage, and the spokesperson confirmed Nissan S manual production will cease while the rest of the Versa lineup continues as usual. This is a statement according to a Nissan spokesman saying, quote, we remain committed to offering a lineup that answers the evolving needs of the consumers and maintains Nissan's competitive edge. We are focusing on the most popular Versa grade that deliver the strongest business performance and are in line with what customers are looking for from this type of sedan, unquote. Which, again, it's a Nissan, but again, it does not have the CVT transmission, which I would argue is the worst thing about Nissan in the past 50 years that destroyed their brand reputation because those transmissions were basically disposable. I mean, if only people are buying this stick, they'd be more happy with the Nissan brand, I feel. Now they say, quote, Nissan only offered the manual transmission on the entry-level Versa S, which starts at $18,330. They note that all prices include the $1,140 destination charge for 2025. However, that spec apparently is dead, and Versa S with a I'm gonna start with my mouth. The Nissan Versa S with a continuously variable transmission, also known as a CVT, also known as the grenade that destroyed the brand of Nissan, that will be their cheapest option, now starting at $20,130. It sucks because, again, having a new car in North America for under 20 grand is a rare thing. Quite literally the last one, and now it's over 20 grand, which, again, every penny counts, especially if you're, depending on your economic level. And shoot, a new car with a warranty is a nice thing to have. I would have argued the only Nissan Versa worth owning is one with a stick shift because their CVT transmissions are so bad. I can't emphasize that enough. That really is what destroyed the Nissan brand for everyone I know, and most business analytics show that those incidents destroyed the faith anyone had in the company. Now, they note that, quote, with new cars prices remaining at all-time high and the new threat of tariffs potentially increasing the cost of making new vehicles, Nissan's more affordable options have been seen explosive result in sales. The Versa was up, 156% through the first 3 months of 2025. The Sentra ultimately and Kias all start under 30. We're also up by wide margins, which if you ever want some funny memes or memes, go to the Facebook page called BAE Energy. It's also known as Big Ultima Energy. It is hilarious, and there's a little bit of truth in that, I'm sure. They say, quote, despite the Versa's popularity, the manual only accounted for less than 5% of the model's total sales, according to Automotive News, which, that sucks. And I almost wonder if it's like Ford with the Mustang, where a lot of the dealer lots don't even have it, so there's not that option. I've had a couple of friends where they go to buy a Mustang with a stick shift, obviously, that's how it should be always, but the dealerships didn't have it, and they would have to special order it, or they just go to another dealership. And the more times you gotta move around, go to new dealerships, the less likely you are to buy. I wonder if that was a variable contributing to why there's such a low take rate. So again, only 5% of them were about sticks, so that is pretty low. I mean, that's rough. Now they note that, quote, there's speculation that Nissan will completely discontinue the Versa after the 2025 model year, replacing it with an electric sedan. That apparently is not a joke, but details are murky. The rumor started when the Versa sales were struggling, but the market has changed, and the price of new cars are only creeping upward. Now they say while the Versa was the last 5-speed manual on sale in North America, there's still plenty of 6-speed options as well. And 7-speed if you want a C7 Corvette or a newer Porsche. So, and it's one of those things where it's rough. Again, this is the last entry-level stick shift you can get. I'm trying to think of like an affordable stick shift you can get these days. You could debate, even an entry-level Subaru is still pretty, well, to me, pretty penny in terms of, cost. But yeah, I guess the Honda Civic Si, but that's over 30 grand now. Jeez Louise. I still think that's one of the best bangs for your buck. Granted, you have to spend another $100 on the unit or a third-party piece to, bypass the cylinder deactivation crap. But sad to see this about Nissan, and again, they have to make some tough calls to make sure they turn the company around. It looks like, thankfully for them, short-term, their sales are bumping up. But let me know, do you think anyone's going to regret not getting this with a stick shift? And again, usually once companies take that option away, they rarely ever bring it back. Do you think that third pedal will ever come back to Nissan Versa? Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Cultural Pride podcast, you have Matt Walsh going viral saying that females should not be Secret Service agents because they keep fighting each other. Now, this comes with thanks to Matt Walsh himself over on X. And he says, quote, last year, multiple Secret Service agents have been suspended for getting into fights with each other. They have all been female. But you're not supposed to draw any conclusions from that, no matter how obvious the conclusions seem to be. Yeah. And that got 1.2 million views as well as 47,000 likes. Now, we do have some contrarian comments here, though thankfully it looks like someone by the name of Bjorn did ask for the specific incidents with Grok. Now, Grok responded saying, quote, sources confirmed 2 incidents May 21st, 2025. 2 Secret Service officers were suspended after a fight outside Obama's D.C. home. I think it's like an $8 million home. The Independent also know that. They know that female agent Michelle Herzog was removed for attacking a colleague. These support your claims, but only 2 cases in a 7,000-person agency. 34% female. It's unclear if the gender is a factor. No data shows female agents are more prone to misconduct. And then they ask, let's see here. If those are the only 2 cases ever, Grok claims it is. So again, pretty small anecdotal evidence. Interesting, we don't see a lot of the headlines of, male Secret Service agents getting into each other. In fact, haven't heard that yet. Somebody named Ariqual Bloss says, quote, these women are targeted for stupid shit in a male-dominated workforce, question mark. Got 58 likes. Urban Decay says, quote, women have absolutely no business playing pretend Secret Service agent, straight up, gained 37 likes. Arquerel, she claims that a woman brought down bin Laden. Now, this small secret, it's a small secret. A lot of people don't realize it, but Navy SEALs do write books. That's a joke because that's a big part of what they're known for. I mean, again, the SEALs that took out bin Laden were guys. There was a female contractor who helped locate bin Laden, but I mean, she contributed to it, but she didn't bring him down. Urban Decay says, quote, women, he's going to get under her skin for this. He says, women are created to serve their husband's cope, getting 4 likes. Then, of course, they attack his manhood. Kind of cliche go-to. See here? Firefox says, it's Lesbo Softball League rivalries, and you know this, getting 25 likes. But yeah. Her name is Arquel Bloss, Arquelbloss. But yeah, I always try to find some contrarian statements or profiles and follow them, because life gets a little bit boring when you're in an echo chamber. Now going back to the main comment section, you also have El Guapo Speaks. It says, quote, "The good news is that all these crazy female DEI agents can be assigned to protect other people who love them the most, like Clintons, Obamas, Bidens, etc." Getting 479 likes, which a lot of people are also critiquing female Secret Service agents. I think it was Q4 last year, when he had one who was on the job, supposedly trying to protect, VIPs like president. And she went to a room she was not authorized for, proceeded to, I'll try to keep this moderately family friendly, pump or express milk for her child and then feed her child. I forgot the child was there or not, but she was doing that activity when she was on the job, which, if you're a mom, yeah, you definitely should not be a Secret Service agent. Because if you're a good mom or have a mom with a modicum of a soul or intelligence, one would think the number one thing on your mind all the time would be the baby you just had. Again, I'm not saying they can't come back to work later in some type of capacity, but like that story to me blew my mind the most. Like, a mom just had a kid and her body's, biology is programmed to think about that kid and sustain life for the kid. Yet she's playing Secret Service agents, going into rooms she's not supposed to be in, and then taking time off the clock to do that, taking time on the clock to do those types of things. But again, this is one of the most important roles. Granted, it's low bar as a government employee. It's one of the most important ones, is guarding VIPs. You're supposed to be on your toes, not on your keister. You also have White with the capital W saying, quote, "Why are females allowed in the Secret Service at all? It should be in all ex-special forces, the best of the best, not fat lesbians who can't reholster their pistol." That's a good point, too. They got 1.6 thousand likes, quite a few to say the least, when famously you had the Secret Service agent try to protect Trump when one was, it's a nice way to say morbidly obese, or she wasn't morbidly, she was just portly, fat. Let's just say she couldn't do a quarter mile in probably in under 28 minutes. I'm only partially exaggerating, but yeah, she was also the other one gal who she just crouched behind Trump when he was being shot at. And then when they were moving Trump to the SUV, she had her pistol out, which I would argue was actually more of a threat than the bad guy, because, she's right there and clearly doesn't know how to use a pistol. And she could not reholster her pistol. And yeah, there's a pretty bad look. A lot of people debate where they put there intentionally because they knew they would fail. There's a lot of speculation on why they were there. You also have Disobedient Soaps having a picture or a comic of two gals punching each other. And the guy in the crowd goes, "Wow, women's UFC is brutal." The guy goes, "UFC? That's across the hall." And that's a convention center, and two signs say UFC, and the other is lesbian relationship, which, statistically speaking, if you look at divorce rates, the highest group, it's actually not, traditional men and women. It's not men and men. The highest divorce rate goes to women or lesbians. I got 767 likes. Heart and Spine Manhood says women shouldn't be in Secret Service agents, getting 508 likes. Voted for this says, quote, "Same story shown everywhere. Woke culture tearing down even our most elite security. No discipline, just choices. When you prioritize ideology over excellence, this is what happens. Sad." Getting 229 likes. You also have Anomaly rather. They really can't pronounce things today. Saying, quote, "I think the Secret Service agent should be all male for the same reason. If we had to set our greatest basketball players, NASCAR drivers, or chess players, our nation, it would be all male." Getting 768 likes. Libertarian Party of New York says, "It's almost as if they want to say something, but you want to say something, but your self-censoring nature prevents you from doing so." Getting 23 likes. Easton Croy says, "Anyone who has ever worked anywhere knows that if you get a group of women working together, they will fight each other. Cliques will form, and out come the claws. What happens everywhere I've ever worked." Getting 295 likes. That is interesting. Matt Walsh did actually go more aggressive in his commentary, which is kind of rereading his quote. Yeah, he actually spelled out so bluntly like he usually does. It's almost a little bit disappointing. He trying to be more nuanced these days. I certainly hope he's not losing his edge. Cyclical Publicist has a good old meme from the Seinfeld or GIF, which I know it's pronounced meme, but it's more fun the way I say it, I think. Which you have Elaine's boss, and he goes, what was the original quote? But in this case, he says, "I was right smack dab in the middle of a good old cat fight." Getting 164 likes. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, a lot of people are also bringing up statistics on, when it comes to the physical fitness requirements being lowered and how that's not great for a nation either. But we'll see if they change the requirements for the Secret Service. And let me know. Do you think, it's good to have women in that position? Do you think they should have such high percentage of representation in there? What are your thoughts? As always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news you had at Times Square showing a black anime man every night in May, still going viral. Now, this brought to us thanks to End Wokeness. And he says, quote, every night in May, a black face is shown on billboards across Times Square. It's about 15 seconds. Which that's when you know you have FU money or NGO money, is when you advertise in Times Square. I mean, the real estate there is ridiculous. You're talking the price of cars just put your logo up places. Like that old Levi's, I don't know if that's a store, just even the store real estate there is worth more than my car. Not saying much as a Honda, but still. So how many is that thus far? Let's count. Well, one's half screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 28. That's insane. 28 screens in Times Square show that guy's face. Which is especially stupid because, spoiler, it's just a sculptor. But, it doesn't even tell me. No, you wouldn't know that if you're just walking downtown. It's such a useless, stupid advertisement. It doesn't tell me, his greatest work or, his name. Yeah, to me, it's just, in terms of marketing, it's F-. We're talking about it, so I guess that's something. But we only know who this is because some sleuth did a bunch of digging. And it really just, the average person just looks like a random face. Now, one of the first comments comes to us thanks to the good old gas stove, our favorite contrarian, saying, quote, Times Square is the only place where Black Lives Matter, racism, inequity, and oppression has no place here. Deal with it. Getting 161 likes for the comment section, or rather the response to him. Good boy says, quote, and they commit 70% of violent crime in New York City. Deal with that, F-tard. Getting 176 likes. So he was, statistically speaking, ratio to say the least. The gas stove says it's 1% proportionally, and you're terrible at math. Getting 4 likes. Aberlof Linkler says, quote, coincidentally, either does cleanliness, morality, or high trust society, LMFAO, get 191 likes? Jeez Louise, that's a lot. There's a typo. I think he was alleging to say neither, but he forgot the N. Maybe that'd be more of a contrarian statement. The gas stove says, because there's no white people around, getting 3 likes. Lobster Minion says, quote, Times Square is a containment zone for BLM, question mark. If only it were true, getting 16 likes. Dr. Jack says, quote, your city is a cesspool of fraud and stinky foreigners, getting 27 likes. Going back to the main comment section. Based electrician, A+ for marketing, exactly what he does for a living. Now he says, quote, well, wondering who it is Thomas J. Price. Evidently, he's a British sculptor. How about he keeps his crap in Britain? Which, I guess, so that was one screen that says what it is. So if you go back to the main video, all the way on the right. So there's 2 screens on the right side of the street that will say him, or say the series of his art, I guess. But the other pictures look static. Either way, who the hell has this much money? I thought starving artists was a thing. This is one of the most expensive pieces of advertising you can do on the planet. I can't imagine spending so much money on advertisement like that. And that got 1.5 thousand likes. Chuck Costello says, quote, what the hell is he going on? Getting 436 likes. Gunther Eagleman said, why? Getting 1.1 thousand likes. Jim Campbell says, America's Most Wanted? Question mark. Getting 34 likes, responding to Gunther Eagleman. We also have the Captain Dreamer saying, quote, this can't be real. LMFAO getting 4,000 likes. And Wokeness says, it is, and it's made by the same shit artist as the obese black lady statue, getting 6.2 thousand likes. Which, yeah, talk about the epitome of mediocrity. It's just a statue of a random lady. Not that I'm a fan of worshiping athletics, but I can appreciate their accomplishments. Like, it wasn't a famous athlete or an author, or it wasn't an accomplished entrepreneur or historical figure. It was just a random obese gal. And that's what they decided to put in Times Square. Send people who want to, want to tear down statues of our founding fathers. Let me correct that. did tear down statues of our founding fathers. Paul Zupa simply says New York City has lost its mind, getting 571 likes. Nick Sorter says, what the hell, getting 456 likes. A contrarian statement. So I think that's maybe the first real one. The other one is the gas stove, which we know is just a funny contrarian on the X. Now, the chemist spelled the K says, quote, and you have a problem with black people? 2 question marks, getting 144 likes. Let's see. The first response, whoa, heavily ratioed him. They got 144 likes. What's the truth? Got 699 likes. Say, quote, and the problem is you're worshiping one race of people and telling them that all the problems is not their doing, but by the white devil. The fact you can't see the problem with this shows your racism. Getting 600 and again 99 likes. Scrolling down, Crazy Vibes says, quote, let me tell you the most racist people are towards blacks. And he claims, I'm not sure where these are cited from, there's no source for this. He claims Asians, Arabs, Indians, Mexicans, blacks, white, yes, in that order, getting 773 likes. Amelia Henderson says, quote, victim card, and she has an African-American picture and a Jesus picture. Under the African-American man says, quote, stop giving me your toughest battle. And Jesus says, you literally just have to stop breaking the law and you won't get arrested anymore. Getting 2.3 thousand likes. Jesus Louise. Florida 1 says, New York City, the city that never turns off propaganda. People have been sick of their leaders, getting 486 likes. I mean, I'm not sure if that's really true because, again, New York City, like a lot of shitties, as I call them, they vote the same way no matter how bad the cities get. So he says people are sick of their leaders. I don't really think so. Like San Francisco, or Minneapolis, Minnesota, or Chicago. I mean, it seems like no matter how bad these 8 places get, they always just, will vote and do the same thing. Bobby simply says, are these mugshots or what? Getting 2.2 thousand likes. Jeez Louise. The conservative alternative also says, quote, this isn't just weird, it's creepy and the kind of racial essentialism that is only going to backfire. Getting 937 likes. Let's see. Not seeing too many other contrarian statements. But again, I mean, I don't know. How is he? I really am curious. How the hell is he paying for this? Like, one of the most expensive advertising mechanisms on the planet is Times Square, and he's putting up his face on 30 plus digital billboards. That's insanity. I can't imagine spending that much on an advertising campaign, especially when you're supposed to be a starving artist. I thought that was the whole cliche. But I mean, let me know. Do you think this is going to help boost his art sales or awareness or his exhibit? Do you think for how much money he's spending on this campaign, will it actually pay off, fiscally speaking? Let me know your thoughts and comments because, as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have USDA employee busted for stealing $66 million in food stamps, which is quite a bit to say the least, though, statistically speaking, not as much as we usually waste on food stamps. I was curious, so I brought up the data, or more accurately, I asked Grok for the data analysis, or just queried it, and I wonder how much we spend per year on food stamps in the United States. Now, they say, again, this is according to Grok, the AI from Twitter, or X, he says, quote, in fiscal year 2023, the United States spent approximately $112.8 billion on Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP, commonly called food stamps, which is insanity. $112.8 billion? That is unsustainable and one of the contributing variables of why the U.S. is so bankrupt. Yeah, the amount of corruption in food stamps is insanity. And the amount of people who rip off the program for a lifetime is even more disheartening. Now, going to the main actual tweet that went viral, this is brought to us thanks to Libs of TikTok, in which she says, quote, 6 people, including a USDA employee, busted in a $66 million food stamp fraud scheme. Arlasa Davis, a USDA employee responsible for identified stamp fraud, ironic, that's a little irony right there, sold hundreds of EBT numbers, enabling over 36 million in fraudulent SNAP redemptions at unauthorized stores. Michael Koyoni, K-E-H-O-E, I can't pronounce that. Gao? You know me, I can only pronounce half the things on here properly. Reportedly orchestrated a network that supplied the approximately 160 unauthorized EBT terminals to stores across New York area to illegally process more than 30 million EBT transactions. This is one of the largest food stamp frauds in history, which, in terms of her LinkedIn profile, they're a lazy government employee when they only have 3 connections and no activity in the past 90 days. It's like 3 connections. I guess typical government employee. She's done that job for 38 years in 1 month. Lord only knows how long she was stealing. She also has an interesting combo. Looks like she has a resemblance of a suit in her profile picture. Her names are I usually don't purposely try to butcher these names. Arlasa Davis. She does have interesting red hair. African-American woman. Then here's the actual release. So much fraud. New York, I'll never forget Mayor Johnson. New York has a brand. It certainly does. Now, I don't know why. This only got about 50,000 views. Again, one of the biggest issues in the United States is how much we waste on food stamps. And how much of it is not good. How much of it isn't actually helping people. But I would argue more accurately, creating long-time dependence on the government, so they vote for bigger and bigger government. Now, again, it's only got about 50,000 views and 7.6 thousand likes. One of the first comments, well, I'm a little biased. This one comes from someone who's especially handsome and brilliant. Me, the Topping Show, in which I say, quote, typical leftist corruption, we need to cancel all the government handouts and start from the ground up, or better yet, have local churches and communities help people and tax us less. Getting 8 likes, which I would argue is all about quality, not quantity. Or Trump would say probably, Topping got the best likes. It wasn't the most, but they're the best people like him always on the X and the Twitter and the YouTube and even the Rumble. Now you also have Meme Wars saying, Grok, can you make a person in the image above into a spicy red tomato? Which, I don't know why, but it's, I guess, mildly entertaining they did that. It got 36 likes. The Undercurrent said, quote, 38 years on the payroll to rob the pantry she was hired to protect. This wasn't fraud. It was an organization theft with a government badge. Roll every name and seize every asset. Gain 511 likes, going up like a stock. You also have the Facts Dude saying, quote, I'm going to say it, typical suspect, getting 183 likes. RJ simply says, I'm shocked. And they have a screenshot of her profile picture on the screen there. The Volt says, quote, liberals on X once they receive the daily DNC talking points. And it's a bunch of robots that looks like, yeah, a bunch of those robots getting 34 likes. Let's see. Vine says, this is the reason Democrats are fighting so hard to keep their fraudulent activities going on, getting 26 likes as well. David Santa Clara says, let me save everyone a little time here. And he just did a giant screenshot of her profile picture, getting 390 likes. Paul Zazupa says, quote, this is the kind of fraud President Trump has been going after. It's the same fraud that Democrats have been trying to hide, getting 14 likes. Versa says, quote, 66 million. That's a lot of food and housing that could have been used for homeless veterans, getting 154 likes. Tired of being politically correct, it says, quote, she has been working for the USAID for 38 years. Something is telling me this is the tip of the iceberg, getting 86 likes. Yep. The AU man says, is anyone else seeing the pattern of who is involved with all this theft in the government, getting 46 likes? Keaton Hobby says, quote, we need to shrink these bloated programs, crack down on the fraud, and stop trusting bureaucrats to handle our money, lock them up and seize every penny they stole, getting 73 likes. Although, again, she's a government employee, so if I were to guess her fate, they're going to give her paid time off and then probably slap on the wrist. Because there's no one that's held less accountable than government employees. If this is a private sector, she'd be sued like, or she'd be fired like that and sued, try to recoup some of that money back. But again, I don't think, maybe that's why this isn't going as viral. It's because no one's really surprised. It's just more government corruption and more theft from us because it's our tax dollars that fuel all this, and also money we borrow from China. But let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have a judge downgrading charges for a repeat offender whose own son is in jail, going viral for also saying, maybe defendants should look like the judge. Now, this is also brought to us thanks to End Wokeness. He says, quote, judge downgrades charges on a repeat offender who repeatedly attacks random white strangers in Cleveland. And he says her son is also in jail for homicide, which, yeah, probably it's interesting to have a judge who couldn't even keep their own house straight. Now, without too much further ado, here also has a weird bobblehead on her desk.
I thought that...
turn this up a little bit.
I thought that it was important that, especially in criminal cases, where when you have people that on one side of the bench, they can look at the judge and say, wow, she looks like me, then maybe I have a better shot. Or such. I thought.
Interesting idea. Now, this went pretty viral, about 800,000 views and 27,000 likes. One of the first comments coming from Libercat Media TM saying, quote, the biggest racist of them all, getting 213 likes. Our favorite contrarian, the gas stove, says, quote, black people have been persecuted in the judicial system because of the color of their skin. I hope President AOC appoints this judge for the Supreme Court so that black people no longer have to fear the persecution by the system. Soften black crime, unquote, getting 28 likes and 68 responses. So obviously we're going to take a peek at those. One of the first responses comes from Steve Hyland, saying, quote, old data, but I doubt there's been much change. Old data indeed is from 2015 statistics. And it's from, I believe, the FBI. It says statistics on blacks killed by whites, 2%. Blacks killed by police, 1%. Whites killed by police, 3%. Whites killed by whites, 16%. Whites killed by blacks, 81%. Blacks killed by blacks, 97%. And that got 14 likes. Big Gen says Pry. That's a very hard to pronounce name. Says, quote, am I the only one not aware that AOC got president of the sanitation department? Got 4 likes. Scrolling down more and more. Carlos Moro says a criminal is a criminal, so if they commit a crime regardless of their color or position, they should be punished for it. No need to soften crimes based on race. Getting 3. Once we get 4 likes. VHI says maybe Vice President Crockett could help this poor judge in her endeavor. Getting 2 likes. Miss Bubbly says, go 3 men, 3 different positions. And you see a African-American police officer, a lawyer, and then a defendant. It says, America, color does not define your future. Your choices do. Very true. Getting 3. I make it 4 likes. Going back to the main comment section. Walking between says, quote, the hill that Democrats have chosen to die on. It says, defending illegal immigration, defunding the police, no voter ID, trans children, sanctuary cities, abolish ICE, student loan forgiveness, defending fraud, waste, and abuse in the government, men and women's sports, abortion on demand, and DEI is at the top. Gained 37 likes. Machiavelli says, quote, looks like another source-funded anti-white black judge who said they should be removed, removed from the bench immediately, getting 606 likes. The Mason Lucas says, quote, so much victimhood in the comments. My lord, getting 12 likes. You also have Dude's Detail with a picture of good old Abraham Lincoln, who says, quote, haven't seen Democrats this mad since we took away their slaves, getting 15 likes. I also have Texas Jolly Rogers saying, quote, who cares what judges look like? It only matters what they're doing their job. A lot of them obviously are not, getting 105 likes. True. 107 likes. Going up like good stock. Lotus has a picture of, Scott, the Dilbert creator. And Lotus says, quote, this is why you can never put this is what Lotus says. This is why you can never put a black woman in a position of power or authority. They are easily compromised and corruptible. They cannot separate emotion from logic and therefore will always be based on their decisions, on their feelings, rather than the right thing to do. Which, I mean, if you look at most liberal women, there's also a lot of white college gals. Now that also got 80 likes. Sunshine Sunny Buns says, quote, who has a bobblehead of themselves? Is she really that important? Is that really a bobblehead of herself? It is. I mean, yeah, that's pretty damn narcissistic. That's a bit unusual. A bobblehead of yourself. That did also get 11 likes. But yeah, in terms of her statement, obviously, I mean, I don't think she'll get, in any way she'll ever get in trouble for saying that. I mean, MLK would probably be disappointed since Martin Luther King Jr., I mean, he was all about judging a man based on their actions and not giving a damn about race. I can only think he'd be greatly disappointed or severely disappointed if he actually let her see how far America has fallen today. But let me know your thoughts and comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the business blunder of the day, you have a kitchen sink being recalled due to lead contamination. This is brought to us thanks to the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, perhaps the only useful government website. Sure, it is a low bar. And they say, quote, Bansheen, that's probably how you pronounce it, Bansheen brand kitchen faucet recalled due to dangerous lead exposure for young children, sold on Amazon.com by Xing Fang store, which, I mean, the picture looks pretty fancy. It's one of those, okay, we call it, you have the sink where the top of it is a hose, and it's got the wire wrapped around it, so you kind of move it around a little bit. Now, they say that, quote, the recalled faucets were tested and found to contain lead that can leach into the water at levels that can particularly be harmful to infants and young children. The faucets were also found to leach other contaminants. They also note that lead ingestion can cause harmful neurological effects on infants and young children, including attention-related behavioral problems, decreased cognitive performance and lower IQ. And this recall affects 24,000 units. Now, thankfully, I mean, as of right now, there have been no instances, of anyone getting sick. Now, the scary thing about this is also, I mean, those are also very long-term negative health issues. So I'm not sure how quickly you could detect it if children were affected. Now, they say that consumers should immediately stop using these faucets and contact Shengfeng store about disposal and a refund. They say consumers will need to provide a photograph of disposal to receive a refund. Amazon is also contacting all known purchasers directly. Now, these are sold on Amazon.com from May 2024 and May 2025 for about $30, which I was going to say that is suspiciously cheap for a kitchen faucet. I thought they were, well, if you get a quality, nice American-made one, they are much more expensive than that. Now, perhaps to insert some hilarity in this part of the show, I will try to pronounce the manufacturer's legal name, which, let's pull that up on the screen. I mean, you can't use proper names in Scrabble, but if you could, this would be a winner. I think it's longer than the Scrabble board. Ruan Shi Sheng Feng Wu Jing Hai Ao Hao Izao Gong Sai of China, doing business as Shengfeng store. I mean, there is how many? I mean, geez Louise, how many numbers or letters is that? 3, 6, 7, 9, 12. It's like 30 characters in that, which is comically long. Recall number is 25-305. Again, you gotta be especially careful when doing any kitchen appliances or any appliances that come in contact with what you're preparing food, because again, you can have these types of issues. Just gotta say, Mr. Shengfeng, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking time to tune in today. Again, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or a comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.